GPS. So it basically shows your current location, and then it shows all the surrounding elements, so you can kind of know how much distance and to which direction, east, north, west, south, you'll have to move to go to the next peak. I'll show you some examples from our tracks. So again, I mean, with if you use the city, the GPS in the city, you can enter your destination, and it will show you directions how to reach the place. I'm going to skip this because this is not very useful in the mountains. It won't give you directions, obviously. Some of the GPSs will have an electronic compass built in, so which kind of is very useful. If you don't have a mechanical compass with you, you'll be able to kind of bring up this compass and exactly see where it's north. And it will also show you, like, you can show an indication, like currently you're moving west, and your destination where you want to go, say some stream or some G-track or some hilltop, can be indicated by an arrow, so you kind of see that you have to go actually a little bit more to the right, a couple of degrees to kind of go towards your target. It can also show your current speed, the distance to your target, and the time it will take you to your target. So yes, obviously we're driving in some cars because speed is pretty high. Another interesting thing about some of the upper higher-end models of GPSs is that they come with an altimeter built-in. So it will show you, based on using some barometer, it will show you the exact altitude, which is again kind of very useful. You will see your current altitude, which again you can then compare with the altitude of the mountain that you want to reach, so you know how many hundreds of meters you still have to climb up to reach your destination. One major, features, functionality of a GPS will be logging, basically. So as you start with a trek or as you start with a road trip, you can enable logging. So basically, at that moment, the GPS will actually start marking a point on the map. One can be marked, say, like every 2 minutes, or you can also tell the GPS to start marking the points where you're traveling, like every, say, 50 meters or 20 meters. You can have different precisions. More precision means that you will need a bigger memory to store your trail. So this is something that we will typically do in CDC. Whenever we have a trek, we will basically enable logging and then clearly see the entire trail. You can download the trail to another GPS, and the next person who wants to go on the same trail can then simply follow the trail by just comparing the current position and the saved track. And then if he goes right or left from the trail, he can adjust his position to keep following the trail. So here, for example, on the sample screen, you can see like the red trail. This is a trail that was done by somebody. So those existing trails that were done before in previous tracks can also be visualized on the map. So you can compare your current position and find that previous trail. Here another interesting view, again only with GPSs who have an altimeter built in, is an altitude profile. So you can show your, instead of showing your trail basically on a horizontal, on a two-dimensional flat map, topographic map, you can also show the altitude. So here you can basically see how was the climb and how was the descent across the entire trail. So that's kind of also interesting sometimes to see if you want to, see the difficulty of a trail in terms of climbing and descending. So here again an example of a topographic map. The problem with the GPS is that the resolution of the screen is typically limited. So you will only be able to see, like say 200 by 300 pixels. So you have a very limited viewpoint of your surroundings. So in some cases it's actually better to carry a paper map with you, which will give you like the entire terrain view and then basically locate your current position on the paper map. Another interesting facility of the GPS is that depending on your current location and on the current time of year, it will exactly tell you when the sunrise and the sunset are there, which is again very interesting in our case because we typically track the entire day till sunrise. So it's obviously interesting to kind of know when the sun will be setting, when darkness will be setting in, so you can kind of try to reach your campsite before darkness sets in. Moonrise and moonset are also shown there, so in case you have a full moon, you know when you can expect some light. to come across the horizon. So these are kind of the main screens that are available with many of these GPSs. Anyone has any questions on these before we, do some practical demonstrations of downloading some stuff in GPSs? So if you enable tracking, and if you enable this tracking, it's logging basically of your current positioning, so it will put a dot like every 20 meters or every minute or something, Pari. Barometer, so air pressure basically. Yeah. Correct. That's what I'm thinking, Hari, that GPS actually does not. When you get your latitude and longitude, but you don't get your altitude through the satellite. So it's indeed. I guess, yeah. Well, it's a bit strange that we talk about a barometer kind of, right, to determine the altitude. If the altitude anyway comes from the satellite, why do they have a barometer? Right. GPS is all about showing the position where you are, obviously. Yeah. One more information.